All right, welcome everyone back to another episode of CRNA School Prep Academy. I'm your host, Jenny Fennell, and today I'm so excited. Probably one of the most requested podcasts I have ever done. I have Eslyn here with me today. She is going to be a new SRNA. Congratulations. And today we're going to share her unique story and how she overcame so many obstacles. And I know so many of you guys are at this point in your life where you're like, can I do this? And you're questioning a lot of things. And I'm so excited. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about how I'm so excited to share her story with you guys. So we're going to kind of start this podcast episode off a little bit unique in the fact that I'm going to actually ask Eslyn a kind of an interview style question to lead into this episode. And so Eslyn, go ahead and tell me about yourself.
Hello, my name is Eslyn Nero. I am originally from Guyana, South America, the youngest of 9 children, and the first generation college graduate. My father died when I was 3 years old, and at an early age, my mother taught me that to go out willingly with faith, strength, and purpose to achieve my goal. Thus, from an early age, I have learned that no matter how something may seem difficult, I need to stick it out and strive for excellence. I migrated to the United States 31 years ago and reside in Maryland, USA. My first job was a cashier at Roy Rogers, after which I was employed at the University of Maryland as a secretary. I took the GED, got married, started a family, and went to college simultaneously. Going to college with 2 little children taught me to be disciplined. I started in the ICU out of undergraduate, and I felt it gave me the experience that I needed to get to this point of my career where I need to advance myself. Outside of nursing, I really enjoy cooking, baking, exercising, and volunteering in the community.
Nice. Awesome. And so I just, Eslyn told a really nice background of who she is, a little bit about how she grew up in a different country, about her when she started in the ICU, and also some personal hobbies. And so I think that's a really great way to kind of get them to know you, because I want to remind you guys too, when you're answering this question in your interview, that they have your resume, they have your essay, so they probably know a lot of your work achievements and academic achievements. It's not wrong to mention them if it's part of what you're proud of, if you've got some kind of award that you want to display or highlight. But they really are just trying to get to know you as a person and, something unique that you bring to the table. So thank you, Eslyn, for sharing that. I guess when you started your CRNA journey, actually tell me, how long ago now did you start? Because I know you said you dealt with a few setbacks as far as not getting selected after interviews, but when did you actually start your CRNA journey?
Actually, it was 2009 when I attended a diversity, and I realized that I could not do that because I had 2 little children. And so I just pushed it aside. I know that I couldn't work, and I just pushed it aside. So about 6 years ago, when my children become like adults, I realized that, look, I need to go back to CRNA school. And then I started that journey. Um, it was very challenging because at that time, my sciences were over 20 years old. And so most of the schools required sciences within 5 to 10, and decided to take all my sciences over, which was A&P 1 and 2, microbiology, everything I took over. And then I started to apply. My first interview, I bombed it because I didn't know what to say actually, but that propelled me to go forward. I was encouraged to take science classes graduate level, and I did, and then I just keep going on. So
Nice. Awesome. I was going to say, because that was my next question, was kind of what did you see as some of your obstacles other than your sciences being old and maybe the interview part? Was there anything else that maybe you thought was kind of hindering you or kind of creating kind of a little bit of a roadblock?
I think I needed to be mentored. I wasn't really prepared. I was encouraged to do it. But then I think if I had something like Serenity Prep Academy or something before, I would know. But then I think if I had like a network, that would have helped me. But I just went on my own and
Yeah.
did what
I
I
love
had
that
to
you
do.
said that, the network piece, because I encourage that a lot. And not even network in a sense that you want to talk to faculty, because that is part of what I teach. But
Other students.
yes, surround yourself with people who want the same dream,
Thing.
because you will help each other naturally as friends do. As you know, we're humans, we naturally seek that that guidance, that contact. And I think I've just, said that, people who, like, for instance, go to war are more likely to survive if they have that buddy system. And you're more likely to get into CRNA school if you have a buddy system. And it's because you have the same goal. And so, of course, naturally, you're going to share what you find, and you're going to be each other's cheerleaders when you're down. And you need that, because the road to CRNA is so full of ups and downs. And it's so hard when you get down to get back up. So first, I'm proud of you for doing what you have without that. But when did you start when did you realize you needed a network, and how did you go about doing that?
So first of all, I try to avoid telling people, especially at my job, only a selective few, because some people, when they know you're going to CRNA school, you treat it differently. And so I kept it like an hush. But then after I realized that I needed a network, I think after my second or third interviews, I think I joined diversity, and I would talk to people when I see them, and we will all get together. But then some people don't share what they have. And once they get in, they just like leave you alone. So I'm like, I need something more than this. And that was it.
Gotcha. Okay. And then I know you said you found the Facebook community. Was that probably right around that time that you found I See You Dreaming About Anesthesia?
Yes, it was last year. So what I did, Jenny, I knew I had to take biochemistry over because I had like a C in that in my undergraduate. So I took biochemistry over, and I took pharmacology. And I told myself that this year should be my year. So I joined CRNA Prep Academy last year, October. And then I saw that, I think it was you and Richard was saying that you need to up those classes. Like if you had a C in a science class, try and do a graduate class at the let them get an A or whatever. And so I did that. And also, I took my GREs, I had like 298, and I was like, I could never hit the 300. So I took a GRE course for like $800. I think it was Sharper, but I didn't even get to take it because I got accepted before.
Oh man, you didn't? Oh, I hope you get your money
Yeah, but
back.
I still have everything. I didn't did it because the GRE was due to be taken in May. I got accepted in April, and I was like, that's it. I'm not taking it. So yeah.
Nice. Well, I'm glad you could avoid doing that again. But yeah, that test is such a beast.
Yeah. Yeah. But when I took the test, I saw my weakness too. So I would tell people you need to spend when you need to take those tests, because they will show you the weak points and the shortcuts to do certain things. So I did it.
That's true.
Because when I take the test, after I was getting like 320, 330, I was like hitting those high points.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
Wow. So, and I love that fact that you said it actually allowed you to see your weak points, and the fact that you weren't afraid to invest for help. I know I had to do it. It was like $1,000 course that I took for GRE because I'm like, well, I'm not able to do it on my own. But it's so powerful to have that personalized attention, that help to get you to meet your goals. And so we've chatted before, but that's an investment towards your future. So
exactly.
Good point to make.
So if you want something really bad, you would work for it and you would invest whatever it is for you. Because the science classes were kind of pretty expensive, but I just take it and I try to do well, because now I said, this is what I do and I have to ace them, and that is what I did.
Nice. Exactly. Yes. And you guys listening, if you're retaking courses, I have students who make sure first that you need to take these courses. Not everyone needs a GPA booster. If you have a really high science GPA already, like a 3.7, 3.8,
leave it alone.
Leave it alone, because the worst thing and I've had this happen to some students where they decide to take it anyways and they get a C, or worse, a D, or incomplete. And that is like a huge red flag to the schools. And doesn't mean you can't overcome that, but man, now you're really climbing a hill, and you have a lot of work to do ahead of you to overcome that. So please, before you sign willy-nilly for any kind of graduate level courses, make sure you actually need them. And Eslyn did make a point to say that they actually told her that she needed to take these classes. So she did. She took their advice and took those classes, and she got in. So so you talked about that you faced rejection, and I guess what were some pivotal points when you reflected on those interviews that you didn't gain acceptance, that you made changes going forward?
Okay, so one of the school, I interviewed 4 times at one school, 4 times.
Wow.
That is how I wanted that school so bad, 4 times. And the last 2 times I was put on the wait list.
Okay.
What folks need to do is schools that doesn't need GREs, try to avoid those because everyone who has a high GPA is going to rush those schools.
Mm.
Or make sure you have a good GREs because if people, and some of them say they don't need GREs, but they actually look at it if you want it, and if you have a good GRE score, they will take you. So my thing is, but I was just trying to go to certain schools, but I was like, no, I have to branch out. And once I branch out, I got accepted.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
don't stick to the schools that you want. Maybe they don't want you. It may sound kind of harsh, but you have to branch out. So don't put your eggs in one basket. And that is what I did. I was like, I just want to go to A, B, or C.
Mhm.
And once I say I'm going to D, E, and F, that is when I get accepted. So
Gotcha. And I think that's definitely a good point to make. And I think a lot of people get their mindset on one school or a couple
no.
of schools. And if it doesn't work
Mhm.
out, they just keep trying and they get defeated because they're not getting in. But I think, like you said, you kind of realize like, well, there's going to be a school for me and someone's going to take me. And so you're willing to be flexible and branch out. I mean, not everyone can do that based on living family situations, but you do the best you can with what you have. And if you can be flexible to travel, yeah, spread
Yeah.
your, and Richard says, cast your net is how
Yeah.
Richard kind of phrases it. So that's very smart. So how did you spend your time preparing before you applied to CRNA school?
One of the things I did was, first of all, I know that for CRNA school, you cannot work. So the first thing I did was start to eliminate credit card bills. Second of all, I paid off my car notes and I lived on a budget. I only buy the things that I need, not what I wanted. And I started to save. I started to buy non-perishable and put it down like toiletries, soap, toilet paper, all of that stuff that would not perish. I put them down. I even bought Visa cards. Like the Visa card, because it expires like 4 or 5 years from now. So I would, every time I get paid, I would buy a Visa card and I would put it down. So I have like about maybe $3,000 worth of Visa cards just stashed away. Because I tell myself if I go to school and I need gas or food and I don't have money, I could rely on these Visa cards. So there were little things that I did. Was here in school and I speak to my family and I say, hey, this is what I'm going to do and I need support and that's it. But the number one thing is to try to eliminate debt. You can't go to CRNA school and have a credit card bill coming in here, there. You can't do that.
Right.
So
No,
that's what
very
I
good
did.
point. And just speaking on that too, and I wouldn't even say I'm good with money. In fact, I'd probably say I shop too much on Amazon for sure. I know that it's a problem. But that being said, knowing CRNA was my goal. And I remember, and we also paid for our wedding when I was out of school. So I graduated with about $80,000 just undergrad loans. So I paid my way through undergrad. And then I spent my first year working tons of overtime paying for a $30,000 wedding. Yikes. But weddings are expensive.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, gosh, now CRNA school's on the horizon. What am I going to do? I worked tons of overtime. I had about $10,000 nest egg. We blew through that before I was done. And I only went for a master's. And before I graduated, I put $10,000 on a credit card. So let's back up a little bit. I was able to have a credit card that I could do that for. I had a lot of credit cards, but I was always very smart with my credit cards. I have great credit, and credit is so important, especially when you need money like that. If you have good credit, you can get cash when you need it. So making sure, like you said, wrap things up, make sure credit cards that are, make sure your credit cards are definitely don't rack them up before school, but know that there could be an emergency fund for you if you were to need it. And it also opens doors, having good credit to get private loans if you were to need it. So very great points. Thank you for sharing that. And I never thought about the Visa cards. It's kind of like you said, it's kind of like it's almost like putting money in your freezer.
Yeah.
Saving it for a rainy
Because
day.
they're good as cash.
Exactly. Okay. Interesting. And again, you have to do what works for you. I know like what I did is mentally, I made a separate savings account and checking account. So I had 2 checking accounts, 2 savings accounts. One saving account was for school, meaning it was only to pay school tuition. My other checking account was school living, like school, like normal every day. If I had to get cash quickly, school, because I didn't have a withdrawal from my savings for school. And then my other stuff was all personal stuff. So I kept my school checking and savings separate. So I always made sure I had enough to cover paying tuition in my savings. And the school checking was for like other daily expenses, like driving to class, getting if I didn't routinely buy coffee, but if I had to buy lunch that day or whatever it was, I had like a separate checking. And so mentally it was separate. So it helped me. And then let's see, I'm kind of back to that question too. We're going to talk a little bit, but like, what did you find that helped you best prepare for your CRNA school interviews, since you kind of dealt with the rejection? How did you then start pivoting your preparation for the next interviews that you went into?
So after I realized that I was getting rejected and I told myself the problem was me, I'm like, okay, so I knew I put all the stuff that I got from Google aside because Google has some great questions, but I'm like, those people would look at those questions. So I need to be me. I need to make whatever they ask me personalized to me. And so, um, the routine, why you want to become a CRNA, all of those stuff, I did that. I set aside 2 questions that they would ask me, like scenario about a patient, and I pivoted around COVID because it was COVID and I was doing a lot of stuff with COVID. And so I knew that, look, they're not in school right now. And they didn't know much about COVID. And so I had it down to the T. Like I had my drugs that I would give down to the receptor site. And so I was like reciting these things confidently, taping myself, wasn't sounding rehearsed and everything like that. And then I was like, okay, now it's time for me to hit Jenny. So I email you and say, hey, I need help. I need, Patrick and whatever you send me stuff. And then Patrick interviewed and he was like, you are so good, but you sound state of the art. He was like, you are too rehearsed. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you do. This is what you don't do. And I was like, man, that's what my kids told me. But then I took what Patrick told me, tweaked my answers around, study them, practice them, and I knew that that was my day. So
nice. Awesome. So good. The
fact shout out to you.
Yeah. Well, it's so cool that you recorded yourself and you practiced, not like you took the advice that PJ gave you and really practiced that and took it to heart. And like you said, you hearing it from not just your kids, but someone who's also like your peer and someone that is in the shoes you want to be in, really allowed you to kind of see, oh, I got to take this to heart and really work on this, because clearly this is partially an issue here. And I also love the fact that you stopped using Google, because you really have to own everything you say. And because I think we spoke about this earlier when we were just chatting, but they can see right through rehearsed answers and it doesn't feel authentic. And humans are smart, man. I mean, you don't even have to say a word and people can read your body language. And it says, like they say, body language speaks 1,000 words. It's so true. And so when you're rehearsed like that, and when you're not comfortable with what you're giving, your body language will also signify that. And they'll say, didn't feel like I really interviewed you. I don't feel like I really truly know you. Even though you told me all this stuff, I don't really know who Eslyn is. I want to really see her shine. I want her to just feel comfortable in her own skin and who she is and what she owns and the knowledge she has in that brain, which you have. So it's so cool once you kind of realize that and opened up to just like letting go and like kind of going with the flow, and then also rehearsing yourself in the sense that made you more comfortable letting go of that like control-ish perfect answer. You know what I mean? And because they don't necessarily want a perfect rehearsed answer. They want something that you can speak passionately about and really give them that feeling of they know this, they got this. And if this were to happen right now and she was in this clinical scenario, she'd run the show because she is very comfortable with what she's saying. So all great advice. Hey guys, Jenny Fennell. I'm interrupting real quick to keep disclosure for the school that was involved in this interview. And I just figured now, since we have to edit the podcast, I'm going to go ahead and come in here with an update on the fall conference. So if you are not aware, CRNA School Prep Academy is having a fall conference. It's in Greenville, South Carolina on October 23rd and 24th. We are going to have program faculty there, current SRNAs, as well as hundreds of aspiring students to kind of mix and mingle with. It's going to be a great time to get your questions answered, learn from faculty members. We have guest speakers such as Natalie Kretzer with Thrivent Financial, who's going to help you prepare financially for CRNA school. We have Peter Struby, who's going to be teaching you ICU pharmacology. We have Matt Zinder, who is going to teach you how to handle stress and cope with stress management in school, which is his specialty. He actually even can do guided meditation sessions. He's phenomenal. Everyone's phenomenal who's speaking. We're going to have Richard Wilson there, who's a faculty member at South Carolina. He's going to be there speaking about how to plan for your application process. I myself am going to be speaking on different study techniques I have learned over the years, as well as how I think growth mindset can really play into your success as a student. We're going to have program faculty there that are speaking. Emory and South College now are going to be two of the different faculties that you're going to hear from, as well as University of South Carolina. We're going to have mix and mingle sessions where you can actually meet each other. We actually have Nicole Kupchak, who has a CCRN review course that I will link to in the show notes, is actually going to be donating some CCRN books for you guys as part of our raffle giveaway. We have several raffle baskets, including an SRNA starter pack basket. We have an SRNA wellness basket. We're going to have kind of like a fun SRNA pre-CRNA gift basket for you guys. We also have 2 Vargo gift cards to give away, which is Vargo Anesthesia. It's an amazing anesthesia app. And so many more to come. So I hope you check it out. Again, that's October 23rd and 24th in Greenville, South Carolina. And I will, again, we'll link to that in the show notes. So make sure that you register. The seats are going quickly. We have already surpassed half of the capacity of our seat allowment for the conference. And as a special thank you and something fun that we're doing for the students who are coming to the conference is that if you purchase a conference ticket before the end of August, which is August 31st is the last day to purchase a ticket to get into this raffle system, is 10 students who have purchased before the end of August are going to be entered to win a lunch bought by Richard and I post-conference. And so this lunch is going to be taking place from 1:30 p.m. to 2:30 p.m. right immediately following the conference. And we hope to see you there. I cannot wait personally to meet all you guys in person. I'm so excited for this conference. And yeah, check it out and we'll see you this fall. All right, back to the show. Great. And the thing is, you didn't know you're going to be asked that. And the thing is too, like these schools mix up their questions and they have different interview panels. But I always tell students to kind of think of different scenarios that have happened at work, keep track of them, not because you want to repeat them verbatim, and gosh forbid you don't ever say names or violate HIPAA, but you just want it to know how you had to how you handled yourself in a situation that you're uncomfortable in, and reflect on those things. So we all have them. We all have clinical things that happen to us. Keep track of that stuff. Remember it. I know, because for me, a lot of times if I have something that's stressful, I think it's a protection mechanism of mine, is I tend to try to almost kind of forget it, in a sense that it gets really blurry in my mind. And I have a hard time recalling details, but I think, again, that's I've realized now over the years that's the way that my brain protects me from some of the trauma that maybe I experienced working as a medical ICU nurse and seeing a lot of death and suffering. That was what I tried to do. But then when schools ask for these actual clinical scenario type questions, I would blank. And I'm like, well, I don't remember all the details. I know what happened. So if that's you, if I'm speaking to you, work on that, take notes, write down these scenarios, because that was a great reflection that you were able to pull up pretty quickly and tell them. And I'm sure they loved that. So yeah. And then, so I guess I was going to ask you, I think we already talked about, how long you've studied. I would say since you kind of had multiple attempts at interviewing, you studied for years. Is that kind of correct? Am I in saying that?
Yeah, I studied for years, but then the thing about it that you never expect what they're going to ask you. So that is why I just put everything away that I got from Google and I just started to be me. If they ask me this is what I'm going to say. If they ask me that, my own personal life story and not what I saw on the internet or whatever. I think that is what I did the last interview I went to. After I saw the podcast with your stuff, I read everything. I listened to you. I listened to Richard, and I was like, no, man, there's got to be a better way. I could do this. And so I told myself the next time I go, I'm going to hit this interview. I'm going to shine. And that is what I did.
Awesome.
So you have to let it be personal, be yourself. Because if you don't be yourself, as you said, they're going to see right through you. And I think that is what I was not myself, So.
Awesome. And so let's kind of what do you kind of share with people, now that you're getting ready, school's getting ready, geared up, what do you find yourself doing to kind of prepare for school to start?
Apart from packing, looking for apartments, I'm just trying to relax, spend time with my family, my friends, and them know like, here, I wouldn't be here for 3 years, and still saving, eliminating bills. Because I mean, just do the basic thing that you need to do. Take care of myself, try
Mhm.
not to be stressed out, pamper myself, get some good rest, because when school starts, it would be a
I
lot
love
of
how you
work.
mentioned you're preparing for the stress. And this is an aspect that I definitely didn't do well before entering school. But if you can start thinking of ways to manage your stress now, everyone who's getting ready to start school, if I'm speaking to you, start learning how to meditate. I know it sounds kind
Yeah,
of fluffy and I was
yoga,
totally
yeah.
against it when I initially started doing
Mm,
it, but holy cow, does it help, especially if you have anxiety. Me,
mm,
meditation is such a great way to check out your mind. And if you routinely practice this during school, I promise you won't face burnout the way you would if you did not have it in your life.
mm.
Burnout's inevitable. It's going to happen, but how bad is it going to be? You have control of that. So like you said, starting now, trying to work on ways to manage your stress and have a backup plan. Like getting really clear on what you do to relieve your stress and making sure you're incorporating that in your life when you're in school. All right. Well, this is awesome. So one last question, I guess, is there any like big takeaways or advice that you can give to someone who's kind of facing similar obstacles? Oh, and you know what? We forgot to share everyone. I want you to share with people a little bit of your stats, like meaning I want to know what your undergrad GPA was, how old you are. And because again, not that I think this stuff kind of matters, but I think people get hung up on it. And I would love to kind of have you share that with people.
Okay, so my undergrad GPA was a 3.1, I think, or a 3.01. But my nursing GPA was a 3.45. Because as I said earlier, when I came here, um, I didn't get a lot of advice. So I rushed into nursing school after I was a secretary. And one of the big mistakes I made, one time I take chemistry, biology, micro. Don't do that. One time I was taking like 5 classes. Don't do that. That is what plummeted my GPA down. So when I actually went to nursing school, I had like a 2.5, something like that, but I was able to bust my GPA up in nursing school. I got straight A's and B's. And that is what really did well for me. Um, when I became a nurse, I was 39. I'm now 58 years old. Um, and I'm not giving up.
Yeah.
So once you have a goal in mind, just work towards it, hard work and sacrifice, you would achieve whatever you want to achieve.
It's beautiful.
That's my story.
Yeah, it's so beautiful.
Don't
It's so
give up.
awesome.
Don't give up. Some people tell me, you're going back to school now? I was like, yes, I am.
Yeah, you're a
This
rock
is what
star.
I want, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm here to say that some of the people in my classes are very younger than me. And also, they were CRNAs, like, sorry, people who interviewed with me were in their 40s. So I'm seeing now there's an age variance, not only in the 20s, but you have people in their 40s
Mhm.
and their 50s are going back to CRNA school. So
Exactly. Yeah, you also
don't
a
give up.
wide range. Is it, when you speak the averages? No, it's not the average, but that's just an average is one number. There's a
Mhm.
wide range that exists that's out there.
Yeah.
And age is only a number. It doesn't mean it's not going to define you. And as long as you plan and know where you are financially with your retirement goals, you can be any age and go back.
Yeah.
One of my coworkers worked till he was, I think he retired at 67 and then spent till he was about 73 working locums, just having a
Yeah.
flexible schedule. And, so plenty of working years left. And then, there, you touched on something that I guess I wanted to make a point though. So you've said your GPA. I also wanted to make sure we brought back up the fact that you did retake some graduate level courses and some undergrad courses.
Yes, I did. I took all my sciences over because when I was applying, I was saying some schools want your science to be between 5 to 10 years.
Mhm.
And mine was since like in 1997, 95. So I took A&P 1 and 2, microbiology, general chemistry, and statistics. I took that all over again and got A's in them. Then I took graduate patho, graduate statistics, and I got A. And then I took was the last one I took? Biochem, A, and I took pharmacology and I got an A.
Wow, that's
Mhm.
awesome. Holy cow. Well, thank you,
Because you want
Eslyn.
when they look at your resume, you want them to see that this is what I was then, this is what I have now.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Exactly. So you're painting a picture of, even though this is my past, this is me now, and this is what I'm capable of. So this was so, so good. I'm so thankful for you to join me today. Thank you, Eslyn, for this time. For everyone listening, I hope this helped inspire you to reach your goals. And yeah, well, I'm excited to follow your journey and see how everything goes. So,
And you would be my mentor, so I'm going to be
yeah,
bugging you for
I'm so,
questions.
I hope you better send me messages like, hey, Jenny, I have this tomorrow. Help me. All right,
I
I'm on it.
definitely will. Thank you so much.
Oh, well, thank you so much. It's been so fun.